Well, all of a sudden, the Eagles will be without their best defensive player for maybe the rest of the regular season, although Nick Sirianni hinted at who could possibly fill in at Slay's cornerback slot. Oh, and now Jalen Hurts apparently is sick, didn't practice today. We have the latest update on his injury status as well. Sure, I might be on vacation, but there's a lot of breaking news this morning. I'm Thomas Mott. This is The Thomas Mott Show. Well, just when you thought the injury bug was going to be behind us, Adam Schefter broke the news this morning that Darius Slay underwent an arthroscopic knee surgery and is officially out for Monday night's matchup versus the Seattle Seahawks. Now, before we even break this down, I know Darius Slay has gotten a ton of criticism as of late, especially for these comments that he made on his podcast after the Birds secondary got worked against the Cowboys a few days ago.
I think I played pretty good. I think I done had a very, very solid game, man. I think I had like 2 or 3 PBUs, making plays, no catches, no nothing. Come on now. Out of all days, you want to put the trash can out there when I had a perfect game. You know what I'm saying? I could have did a lot of stuff better, but maybe could have picked the ball, could have made some other plays. But overall, the game was great by me. You know what I'm saying? But as a team, we play worth the.
But all offseason words aside, Slay has still been the best defensive player according to PFF on the Eagles team this entire season. He's consistently been really good in coverage, even when his teammates haven't really been that great. And while losing Slay shouldn't ruin the Eagles' regular season by any means, I am, just like you, very worried about DK Metcalf and his potential to go absolutely buck wild on a very bad Eagles secondary minus Darius Slay on Monday night. Now, if you're curious what it sounded like in Sirianni's press conference, because he was at the podium right when this news broke, here was Sirianni confirming what was going on with Darius Slay.
Adam Schefter reported that Darius Slay had surgery on his arthroscopic surgery knee. Yeah, and so I was wondering, how do you guys move forward from this, and what's your plan at the cornerback position?
Yeah.
Can you confirm it first?
What are we doing there? Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, okay.
What's our plan? We got the right guys in place.
How long do you expect him to be out?
We'll see.
The question we all care about is who's going to be in Darius Slay's slot for the remainder of the regular season. You got 4 games left, even though it's only one good team remaining on your schedule. I think you're going to see Kelee Ringo. I know Eli Ricks would have been the choice earlier on in the season, but I think Kelee Ringo really getting some reps against the Dallas Cowboys has shown that they're trying to work him out onto the football field, and he's probably going to be the option if Philadelphia wants to go younger instead of maybe moving a guy like Bradley Roby to the outside. Now, when asked about it, Nick Sirianni, he decided to play it close to his vest and not give the Seahawks a hint at who's going to play.
Did you learn about Slay's injury and surgery early enough in the week to have a full week of prep without him?
Yes.
Let's be real, though. Philadelphia can just get past the Seattle Seahawks. They're not going to face another elite receiver until the playoffs. And by then, Darius Slay should go back because he's not going to go on IR, and we're still 4, maybe 5 weeks away, depending on a bye, for Philadelphia actually suiting up for a meaningful playoff football game. But how confident are you in the Philadelphia Eagles actually winning on Monday night? I'm extremely confident, but I'm curious where you guys are at. Now, in terms of other injuries, we're still waiting to hear if Zach Cunningham and Cam Jurgens are going to be able to go ahead and play. Both did not practice on Philadelphia's final injury report, which you see obviously on your screen right now. With Slay being a DNP, though, I think it's going to be a stretch for Jurgens to play, meaning you're probably going to see Sua Opeta at the right guard spot, but keep an eye out for Zach Cunningham. If he's unable to go with his own knee injury, it could be bad news for Philadelphia. Now, to add insult to injury, we also got word that Jalen Hurts has an illness and isn't practicing today on Saturday. He is expected to travel and play, from what I understand, according to reporter Jeff McClain. Now, people deal with sickness all the time. This shouldn't be that big of a deal, but geez, can the Eagles get a break on the injury report this week? Jalen Hurts needs to be as close to 100% on Monday night. That way Philadelphia, again, wins a very important game against the Seattle Seahawks. Now, in terms of Seattle, even with Slay out, I told Josh Davis that I'm super confident the Birds are going to be just fine. Despite the fact that there were a lot of people in my comment section saying we're going to lose on Monday night, I still think Philadelphia is going to win by double digits. Let's get D-Dragon Super Chat here. What up, man? Past 2 weeks felt like 2 months. That's true. Hard for me to get excited for Monday night. I'm excited for Monday night because they should blow out the Seattle Seahawks. They should win by 15 plus points. I do. Very confident that they're going to blow out the Seahawks.
You think they're actually going to do that?
I do. I genuinely
You are?
do.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
I mean, Vegas has them at what, 4.5-point favorites? They're going to beat the Seattle Seahawks. Drew Lock, Geno Smith, it doesn't matter. They will win that game, or else all hell's going to break loose. They're going to win that game.
I hope so. The only thing that I keep coming back to, and maybe this, to your point of Vegas having it at 4.5, so maybe that should be the telling sign, is it's been, 7 years, 8 years?
It's been a long time.
It's been a while since we've won in Seattle.
Yeah.
So that's the only, or not 8 years, I guess 8 games, 7 or 8 games. Since been like 2008, something like that.
Long time.
So yeah, we need to. This is one that, I mean, coming off these last couple
They
games,
have
it
to win
needs
this
to
game.
be a controlling game. I hate it's literally, I mean, all of us know this, but because we've lived through it and we've survived through it, but it's like, it's either the Eagles are going to win by heart attack, or, I mean, I guess with the exception
Yeah.
kind of the Jets game, but or we've been just blown out and obliterated. So
Mhm.
can we get one where we're on the other side? Just control it from start to finish. Nice, easy. Hey, great. We're happy. Things are a little bit better or much better in that situation. I don't know, but there's still, I guess, after the past couple of weeks of what we've seen, I'm tempering expectations a little bit. I do think that we win, but I almost need them to just do it to prove it to me before I can say like, oh yeah, we're definitely going to win by 10, 15 points. I would love it though. That'd be great.
I think it's going to happen. I think 15 plus. I think it's their best win of the season. And I think Tuesday morning we're a lot happier about where Philadelphia is at. But that doesn't mean they still can't make changes. And that's the whole Frank Reich situation. I broke this down on my show, and you mentioned it yesterday. I did it 2 days ago. I know that Nick Sirianni has basically shot down the idea of bringing in Frank Reich. Frank Reich would be a welcomed help to this Eagle offense, and it's the exact reason for what Donnell Shipley just super chatted. Just watch the Dan breakdown. I get the problem I have the O is they don't run the ball to set up the offense. For as many flaws as Frank Reich had with the Carolina Panthers, and apparently there were a lot because the owners did not like him. Dave Tepper was not a Frank Reich fan, and he's had problems the past 2 places he's been. What was the one thing Frank Reich did really, really well when he was in Philadelphia? He was adapt the offense to run an RPO style system and get Nick Foles to throw the football as quickly as possible when he wasn't already handing it off. And now they have somebody who's 80 times better than Nick Foles at running the RPO in Jalen Hurts, who proved he's the best RPO quarterback in the league last year because they ran it so darn much, and he's a better thrower of the football than Lamar Jackson, who's also great at it. And what do they do this year? They don't run any RPOs at all. And so when I'm talking about stubbornness, I'm
They
talking about
claim
Nick
they do.
Sirianni. They claim they do. They don't. They really don't. We need to just sit back and count how many RPOs they actually run a game because it's a lot of zone reads,
Right.
not a lot of passes off of those zone reads, right? In comes Frank Reich. If they were to bring him in, he's at least mentioning this, right? He's at least getting in the ear of Sirianni, who Sirianni loves and respects him. We know that. And saying, hey, Nick, try this. Because Donnell's right. If they start running the football effectively, they can blow teams out. They can obliterate people. Early in the year when they were playing well against the Vikings and playing well against the Bucks and they were looking like the 2022 Eagles, they were running the football down your throat and then popping you over the top whenever you came in and gave them one-on-one opportunities. And they've gotten away from that. And again, it goes to play calling and scheming and execution and all the issues we talked about earlier.
Yeah, I'm with it. It's one of those that I understand the criticism. I understand the, hey, Frank Reich, if he were to come in here in any capacity, it's not going to be what's going to happen, right? Is it going to be a big change? Is it going to help? Is it going to be, because certainly, like you said, I mean, with Carolina, with Indianapolis, there were a lot of things there, with concerns, and he certainly lost the locker room. So that would be the only, I guess maybe not the only, but the immediate concern or thought is, don't like whenever a guy has the losing in the locker room, which has happened in both places in Carolina and Indianapolis. And I happen to have a referee friend who used to do the camps for Indianapolis, who can kind of confirm that, Reich's not the most likable guy. So again, he's a referee. So I guess you could also make the counterpoint to that, like who likes referees, but still it's like he's done Shane Steichen and he's like, it's day and night different. He's not a Steichen in my mind, but at the same time, he's a consultant. So he's not really coming in to impact the locker room culture. He's kind of a 30,000 foot view. Here's what's going on. I'm going to provide some insight.
Yeah.
Help it with possibility of a game plan. So, I don't think it would necessarily hurt. Now, do I actually think that it's going to happen? I don't think at all. I don't think there's any chance. I mean, Sirianni kind of doubled down on that with the, hey, I like who we have here. I've seen some rumors. I don't know if this is true or just speculation. I've seen rumors that Sirianni did reach out to Reich, and his Reich's family, or I guess his wife or something, was like, no, you need to take the season off. That may be totally made up, but I've seen rumors of that. So again, either way, even if that's not true, I still don't think it's going to happen, because it feels like as much as maybe Sirianni doesn't want to give BJ full control, that would seem like the I don't know, just complete overstep and say, hey, you know what, you're the OC by like title, but that's about it. Like, you're not really going to do much at this point, because I think that he's taken so much control already. So I don't know. We'll see. I doubt they do it, but again, I wouldn't think that it would hurt at this point, because like you mentioned, all the reasons for the scheme, the play design, and we got to get back to, I hope that we do. I mean, they said run the football, and in my mind, whenever they said run the football, I'm thinking like, great, can we get some like RPOs? Because I don't want you
No.
just run the football to run the football.
Nope.
Like we need to be effective here, and so far we haven't seen it. And with it being this late in the season, I'm like, are we going to see that big of a change? I don't know. I don't really think so. What do you think about? Let me ask you this too, because and we've talked about it a couple times, both on shows and just while you were here in Dallas. But locker room culture is obviously very big. Morale,
Yes.
team aspect, and all this other stuff. But we hear the reports of Derek Gunn getting texted by, who knows who these players are. We can guess,
Yeah.
we can make speculations of who they might be, but of Brian Johnson's, offense being too predictable, or maybe it's Sirianni, whoever's it is. And we've got Josh Sweat, who's apparently so frustrated and upset that he pulls a reporter to the offensive side of the locker room to tell him about the frustrations of the defense. And we've got numerous other reports too of being really frustrated and either kind of finger pointing, kind of calling guys out, kind of voicing all these frustrations. This is a 10-3 team. But again, for all the reasons we've mentioned, along with the locker room culture and morale, it doesn't feel like it. Should there be an extra level of, I know Jalen Hurts and Brandon Graham kind of had a rah-rah meeting with the team to hopefully get this under wraps. And I am hopeful, but does it feel like this is, I don't know, a locker room culture issue too, of this is already trending in the wrong direction with the play calling, but how much of a concern is it when we're talking about the players are, they're acting like we're in jeopardy of missing the playoffs, really? I mean, I can understand it, but that's where they're at.
Well, the locker room stuff is interesting, right? Because here I am talking about how, the players have to play better, and they do. And yet the players seemingly are pushing back and saying, well, the play calling is too predictable. And, the offense takes too long for routes to develop. And, the defense can't get any pressure. And like all the things that you just mentioned. I do think there are some issues there, or else Brandon Graham and Jalen Hurts would not have had a rah-rah today before their lift, which was mentioned by Jordan Mailata on 94.1 WIP today, saying, hey, it was pretty spirited. But Jordan Mailata also, right after that, said, this is a very open locker room, a locker room that talks, a locker room that is not afraid to go to coaches and express their frustrations, especially on the offense. And so part of me goes, it's much to do about nothing. But I think people are frustrated because of the emotions of the past 2 weeks. We got to realize who they lost to, right? The San Francisco 49ers cried all offseason long about losing in the NFC Championship game and how if we just had Brock Purdy, we would have won the game, and the Eagles are actually frauds. And Philadelphia got whipped in that game. And the 49ers made it look like they were right all offseason long. That if Brock Purdy had been healthy, it's not 31-7 in the NFC title game. It's much, much closer. And then you play the Dallas Cowboys, who you've beaten, which is great. But again, there were some odd plays in that one. Dak steps out. Jake Ferguson drops the pass. Could it have been different? And the Cowboy fans are chirping and saying, oh, well, the Eagles are frauds. Just wait till we get you again. And then you lose again. So you've been punched in the mouth twice by your two biggest rivals in the entire NFL. And tempers are obviously running high because the team doesn't know how to lose because they don't lose games. There's one thing sure in the National Football League over the past 2 years that's almost a virtual guarantee is that the Eagles are going to win a game on Sunday because their record with Nick Sirianni and Jalen Hurts since 2022 has been better than anybody else in the National Football League. And I think a lot of this has to do with the fact that they lost to teams they didn't want to lose to. There was a big-time emotional investment into both of those games, and when you emotionally invest and then lose, people get frustrated, and then pair that with the fact that these guys don't know how to lose. They have not lost. At all. A.J. Brown hasn't lost as a Philadelphia Eagle. I mean, literally, like, they only win football games, and I think they're trying to struggle through some things here and learn how to lose properly, and my only hope is that they figured it out. And this is truly the week where they're buttoning things up. And this is truly the week where they have a really good week of practice and everything looks proper. And they go to Seattle, they handle their business, they win by double-digit points, and then you can cruise the final 3 weeks because DeVito's not going to beat you and the Cardinals are trash. And then you're going to be the 1 seed because the Niners have 2 hard games left on their schedule, and both the Baltimore Ravens and the LA Rams. And the Cowboys have 3 straight, starting with at Buffalo. Then they have to play... Who's that? Who's that next team? Who's after Buffalo?
The Lions.
No. The Lions is the 13th. Miami. 3 straight. Yeah. They're losing at least one. And if they lose at least one and we win out, the East is ours and the 1 seed is probably theirs.